Greetings, fellow travelers, and welcome to the Way of the Showman, where we view the world through the lens of showmanship. I am Captain Frodo, and I will be your host and your guide along the way. And today I'm very excited. As this is released in November, we will have 2 episodes where I talk to the astounding Nick Difatte, who has just finished his second run with Mad Apple. Cirque du Soleil's Mad Apple at New York Casino in Las Vegas as I record this introduction, and he's about to go out on the road again, so check him out and find out where to see him, because this guy, as I mentioned in last time when he was on in episode 113, he is one of the good ones, very funny. And this episode was recorded in Los Angeles, and we were sitting around a table and there was dogs, and we were about to go to the Magic Castle. The day before we had been at Disneyland, which was totally amazing, and we went on all these rides, me and Nick Difatte and Mac King. And I am, for those who know me, I get incredibly motion sick very, very easily. So I was chewing down motion sickness pills like it was going out of fashion. I, apart from the very, very first ride where we took this Star Wars ride, that was quite full on, and I realized afterwards that it was because the kid, it was an actual child, real like 6-year-old kid sitting in the front row doing the steering, and only afterwards did I find out that the controls that the kid was having, they actually work. They steer the whole the spaceship that we're in. So it was going everywhere in the screen, and it really just messed me up. But then after that, very, very exciting. So I couldn't believe it, hanging out with my friend Nick and Mac King, that he came with us to Disneyland. It was like just the kind of stories that you would expect to happen in the old Disney movies, and the kind of stuff, the kind of magic that you would expect to happen in Disneyland. It was such an incredible thing. And then that day, on the day that this is being recorded, we're about to go to Mike Cavaney's house, and Mike Cavaney is another hero of mine that I would see in the Genie magazines when I was a kid, that my dad would subscribe to. And we were going to go to his house, and where I met Tina Leonard, his wife, that I had also seen her act on was it from Paul Daniels' show or something? We had it on a VHS tape. She's got an incredible act as well. And I was going to meet all these people and go to the Magic Castle. So I was quite literally discombobulated from being swung around on all the rides and hanging out, and we shared a hotel room where we had a view so we could see me and Nick shared a hotel room overlooking the Magic Castle, and it was just an absolutely unbelievable couple of days. And in the midst of all of that, we managed to record a couple of episodes. And I had so many things I wanted to talk to Nick about, and as you hear today, I wanted to do just one episode about secrets and one episode about this or about that. But when we started talking about secrets, it never really finished. So in the end of this episode, you hear us talk about the things, further things that we would like to talk about, and there is a second part of this talk that we recorded a few days later. And did we remember to pick those back up? And even if we did pick them up, did we finish any of them? So maybe we will be exploring secrets for quite some time with Nick. I'm going back to Las Vegas again next year a few times, and I'm hoping to record more episodes. But for now, this is the first of 2 episodes in the Nick Difatte November here at the Way of the Showman. I hope you enjoy this casual and intense conversation between me and Nick Difatte. Oh, and by the way, why not click subscribe, click follow on the podcast? It doesn't cost you anything, but it would be totally awesome for me to see that as the episode goes live, it all trickles down into people's podcasting apps, ready to be enjoyed whenever their time is right. And I wanted to talk about learning and teaching magic. Because when I first started making this note, it was with questions or whatever. It was when you had
just done or was about to do what was it called, the masterclass, or no, at
the Vanishing Ink?
Yeah. No, what it's not called.
I think they call it masterclass.
Oh yeah.
Even though I think that it's not like.
No, but just that's the name of
it's
it.
To me, that's not what the definition would be, probably.
Yeah, no. Like, I actually thought that the masterclass was kind of like when somebody who is, whatever in that context, being the master, is working with someone on their craft.
Yeah.
So and everybody else is watching, like a master-apprentice kind of relationship, and you're developing something. But
yeah,
I don't know if that's...
Itzhak Perlman comes in to speak in front of the violin students, and then he gets up a person and they play a piece, and then he tweaks it, and you see him play.
I can't remember the name, but I should check that out. So I want to watch the TED Talk first with the guy that he plays the cello, I think.
Okay.
And then I watched a couple of clips of him, and then I found him doing this, where first the student then plays a cello piece, and then he talks him through it, and he's looking at the different phrases and getting him to change it, and
it's amazing.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah,
like how they change the flavor of the playing for where you go. Because first that dude plays the piece or whatever, and you go, oh wow, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
But then this guy goes, okay, yeah, but listen to this phrase. Like, what is it? What's the purpose? Why is this like this? It builds up like this. You're going to try to do this, and then they play it one more time, and you go, yeah, I didn't know it at the time, but that had so much more to give, of course.
Yeah.
But,
it's amazing.
which I guess is what happens when you're on stage as well. Sometimes I might have thought of a joke or written a joke as it is, like you think of something and then you try it, but then as you're doing it, each time you do it again, you realize more depths or more kind of why this is funny. And but even like that, it becomes funnier saying the same joke. When the first time you do it, if it works at what ultimately turns out to be like 50% or 60%, this is going to be a good joke, because then you learn to tune it to your set and everything. But anyway, because secrets and about teaching and learning, and that, and in our industry where creativity and that is, that is the cash value in a way, you within a short sort of span, you've done lectures for a long time, and then you released your book, which we would plug if it wasn't for the fact that it's sold out.
Depending on when this comes out.
Yeah.
give it a year and a half.
We're hoping that they're going to come out again. Book's called Offbeat, and it's published by Squash Publishing, and it's not only filled with excellent stuff, it is actually a beautifully made book, great art inside it, and a beautiful hardcover thing, as well as filled both with great stories, essays that are covering really cool topics, and we talked about it in our previous conversation actually, where I don't know what we set out to talk about. We ended up talking mainly about audience volunteers and audience management and managing expectations and managing all this sort of stuff, and we talked about that being the thing that has popped into my what do you even call that? The stuff that's on fast dial in my head. So there comes up situations and you just go, about how amazing Jonathan could be essentially an absolute asshole to his volunteers, yet their experience of it was not, at least not in all cases, that he was
taken out of context or taken outside of that show. Behavior that wouldn't be acceptable or personable or likable, but turning it into the vibe of like hanging out with a friend. I know we touched on that a lot.
So that's, I think, is brilliant to be able to do that, and that of course relates to how you also you would want that vibe in a sense when you are on stage too, that people in the audience feel like they're watching you as a friend as well, like you get that flavor.
Well, I feel like you can go, I had trouble finding the wording for it, but like feeling like you can go further than you would have been able to if you didn't build that relationship with them. Because you see a lot of guys, you're given 7 minutes and they jump out and immediately want to jump down people's throats and shit all over them.
Yeah. It's such a big part of what I'm doing in my act with all the stuff that I do before I actually do anything. That's like I announce that I'm going to do this location, but it takes a long time before I do it, and that whole first section of stuff is me just introducing myself and being goofy, and there's a hint of that the mic lead and the props aren't quite cooperating with me, but you don't know where it's going to go, and it's just there and it's understated, and then the first thing that I even do is just to put my head in the racket, and I can't get it, and I throw confetti in. But anyway, be that as it may, I'm totally... So, in a short period of time, and you had released that book not so long before we met in Denmark.
Yeah, it was probably... Yeah, it was like within 3 months, probably.
Yeah. So very exciting. And then I saw you lecture there, and that made me just think of, and then which was maybe then a year after or something when you did your masterclass.
Yep.
And it just dawned on me that, okay, so how are we going to talk about it? Well, because then then you are then sharing your secrets, and you've shared them then in sort of 3 different formats. You're doing your material or whatever, and then you're doing your lecture, which we can talk about what that actually is in terms of magic, and then book. And the first one, you doing your material is not sharing it. That's just showing the art, but sharing the craft, and about giving a certain permission for people then to be allowed to take this now because they have purchased the book, and now you have some sort of... but anyway, so the first thing that you did in sharing is almost like learning. So you're learning from your mentors, and how was that thing? Because that is the thing. I thought if you start talking about mentors and how they're teaching you, and then talk about how you did your first lecture or whatever.
So I think, well, for me, like the idea of sharing stuff and selling magic products was never really of any interest until probably until I moved out on my own. You know. But we'll get. I think I'll circle back to like the first time I did it, or that I found any interest in it, and now I think I'm doing it for a completely different reason, and we'll circle back to that too. But the mentor thing is cool because I think I was brought up in the right area, and also like lucked out timing wise. I had there's a guy named Tyler Ericson, who lives in Minnesota, and he teaches, like his entire business is consulting and teaching magicians. So sleight of hand based stuff, to me, if you're going to learn that stuff, you should have somebody, like almost any discipline, like you should have somebody to immediately correct the little things that you're doing wrong so you don't learn it wrong, and then carry on those patterns, right? Yeah. So having the guy that can smack you on the back of the head with a ruler when you're dinking it up. And he's that for a handful of people, really specialized kind of training. And he was trained by a guy named Terry Roses, who was mostly like gambling centric. Oh yeah. In his sleight of hand, and also in like devices and inks and special cards and glasses and cameras and all that stuff. Wow. And so Tyler...
So like actually gambling, not because at first when you said
cheating related.
Because first I thought of like, there's lots of magicians who do mainly sort of gambling related material. Right. Or like gambling style demonstrations.
Like or the cheesy like... I'm a riverboat guy. Hey, diddle diddle, it's the one in the middle. Like, this is, like, he makes, legit level stuff. Not with the purpose of it being sold for cheating equipment, but
for magic.
And some of it is, somehow broken into that realm. But so I was training under Tyler since I was like 8. I met him at the local Young Magicians thing, and we started doing private lessons. Like after school, he would come to my school, and my parents set it up. It was great. But looking back, it's nuts because I was super young. But so we would work on stuff, and over time, he kind of realized that I had liked tinkering with stuff and was handy enough. And when he was training under Terry, Terry has all these devices and inks and these special formulas for shit. And it was stuff that Tyler, like, appreciated and wanted to learn about, but he never had the actual passion, desire, I guess is the right term. But he didn't want to make that stuff. And Tyler to this day will go, I need $2.50 glued together. And I go, okay, like glue them, what are you going to use, epoxy? And he's like, I'll mail you $2.50 and then you glue them and mail them back to me. Like, that's his desire of...
To tell me about how it's done. Just make it work.
I'd rather wait for the mailman than have you do that. So he hooked me up with Terry when I was like 15, maybe something like that. So I would go up to Upper Minnesota, up to Duluth, like I didn't drive, so I would take an airport shuttle from Minneapolis up to Duluth and back and forth, and I'd stay for a couple nights, and he had to like pretend he was a relative or something to get me a hotel room at the horrible Super 8 up north. Like, it was pretty great.
Wow.
And so I would train under him and learn about how these things are made and printing and, sleight of hand stuff and different gaffed, like cheating equipment kind of things. And so, someone needs to be brushed. Now you're covered in dog hair. I'm
There's
sorry.
a dog hair, yeah. It's not talking
There's a
about
lint
me.
roller over there. Yeah, someone needs to be brushed. Hi, sweet boy. But like so I learned about that stuff. But part of that whole thing was like a big importance on secrets.
Yeah.
And so, especially in gambling, and I think to this day, that's still always kind of been a thing. But
Totally, like the stories of Di Vernon traveling to such and such to meet the dude at the hotel. And Eric Delgadio writes about that in his Immoral Man as well, which
and
I don't know what the
character
level
in
of
that may be based on some people that were related to these same people.
Oh, yeah.
If not some of the same people. Like, it's incredible. But it's such a weird group of people. But But the importance of secrets and the importance of kind of earning secrets, I think, was what was helpful for me.
Yeah.
So when I would learn, I wanted to learn about this certain, I won't use specific terms, but I wanted to learn about this card marking system that's this like thing that I think magicians have heard of, but they don't really know about, or they don't know about how to make it for sure. And I knew that he was a guy that provided it for people, and so I was fascinated by this whole thing. And so,
because that's, of course, then I'm linking those together. It's like, this dude knows about making inks.
Yeah.
And why would you be interested in that? And just because that's something that, even though it's like a normal person, which magicians call a layman or whatever, like that, a
whatever
layperson,
degrading term.
like it's somebody who's not tuned into this. They still are aware of the concept of a marked deck.
Yeah.
And then if you are going to mark a deck and you're taking an unmarked deck and marking it and not buying one ready-made from a magic store, which has then
different
you need to have very
properties
special properties of ink to be able to draw on, like these
or things that can't be seen by the human eye but can be seen by cameras or glasses or contacts or whatever, or different. There are skill sets that you can learn to read certain things. And
but anyway,
so there's all this shit.
So you were after this one particular type of system of marking cards,
and just because I think part of it is like you're young and you hear about it and you think it's cool, and because it's hard to get a hold of. So I think that's
a
love
big
that part of all of this is like the putting importance on secrets, because we feel like they're out of we want to feel like we're on the inside ring of shit. I think we want to feel like we're in the club, we're part of something that, which I think that's also it's weird to verbalize any of that, but I think that's also the most destructive parts of magic. Are the guys that are just information collectors or secret collectors, and there's a whole bunch of that too. Like I used to sell this device that Terry and I made, and there were guys that wanted it just to be able to kind of say that they had it, or to act like they didn't know how to actually, because it took a lot of skill to use what this device made.
Yeah.
I don't know if this makes any sense.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Stupid to talk about it like that, but the ability to use the thing that the device made wasn't within everyone's skill set, but these guys just wanted to have the thing.
Yeah, it's because basically what it's like, you're making a tool that allows you to do, for instance, a certain magic trick or a certain kind of gambling thing, but to buy the tool, as a lot of us might know, you buy yourself a hammer, and that doesn't make you a carpenter.
Right.
You still need to have all this other knowledge, and that there's a lot of people who might own the books or own the equipment or own or just know the secret, and thereby thinking that they have the measure of what it actually is or so.
Well, it also comes back to like when I was a kid. I'm so happy that Tyler like drilled this into my head, but the idea that you can easily become overwhelmed with, and Eugene Berger talks about this too, but a lot of guys and gals get into magic and then they buy everything. They buy every book and they buy every trick because it's accessible, kind of.
Yeah.
It's accessible enough. You go to a shop and you talk to a guy and the guy goes, hey, buy these 3 things, and you go, oh, but I want this secret. And he goes, well, maybe if you learn these. And then 2 days later you come in and buy it. Like, that barrier of getting it, I think, is also part of it.
So this is really interesting. So because I have that too, like secret knowledge, and that has been from being a magician and all that, and now as well, like there's like and I see possibly then the link between this and the sort of more esoteric kind of stuff of secret fraternities or secret organizations with hierarchical stages of learning different secrets or so. That goes way back to kind of Pythagoras to the Rosicrucian Freemasons, Temple of Golden Dawn, whatever. There's like levels of knowledge, or Scientology for that matter.
Sure.
Like where everything is tiered. And
which is why it feels. Is it the mailman?
Maybe it's the mailman.
Okay.
This is just the most American thing. I'm just sitting here looking out the window at the beautiful flowers outside, and there's a hummingbird drinking nectar from a thing, and then the mailman comes and the dog is barking at the mailman. This is like...
Isn't it just better?
This is better. This is so better. But then we have the secrets that are like... Because this of... further knowledge or so, which has must go into shamanism and all this, that there's levels of knowledge that you can have to understand the world or understand anything. And I think we have this drive towards being in the know.
Yeah, of course.
Me who go on so much about play in this season, certain aspects, like there's different criteria of what makes play.
Yeah.
And I have not included this, but a few people talk a lot about this too, about making an inside and an outside group. We are in this game, and there are others who are not in the other game. So that includes a little bit of a level of secrecy, that there is some of that we have a secret knowledge, which you can see also in jokes or in that you were there that night, and you just say, isn't this just better? And it's related to something that might have happened to someone else, but then we had that with Matt King when we were doing it yesterday, and it came up in what we say, where I used to say with our family, said, this is the life. You're just going, So in jokes and all that's connected to that pull that we had towards, how is that actually done? And magic is probably one of the most sort of direct ways of getting that, and you learn so much about secrets as a thing from thinking about it, because you see the coin is here, and then you could put your hand on something or someone, a book or whatever it is, and swear that they put it in their other hand, but then it turned out now it's not only not in the other hand, it's not in any hand, and it's like, but it's behind the ear of your ear. Like that thing makes you go, what's going on here? That's just to make a banal example, because it's more like you can make it more of like somebody you're thinking of something, and then they write on a piece of paper, and then they knew what you were thinking, so they reached into your mind.
Scope,
but it's the same thing of like it begs you to go. You're coming face to face with a kind of mystery. If you, the mystery of which which hand the coin is in. But still, you are encountering it, so you can't see it like that.
It to me, so there is like the wanting unattainable knowledge or wanting the unattainable, or I mean, but there's also weird tropes that I'll circle back to that. But I think an important part of like my understanding of secrets and the whole idea of earning stuff was, you know, you can go into a magic shop and buy all this shit. You can buy hundreds and hundreds of tricks and hundreds of books and DVDs. The guys that have done that have massive collections of, you know, retail magic, usually are pretty bad. Like if you ask somebody, and Tyler was the one who pointed this out to me, he goes, if you go up to somebody who buys everything and you go, can you do a trick for me and my friend here? Or can you, hey, show me something? They seize up and they go, well, I guess so. Well, normally I would do this and then I'll do, you know, they just kind of have this like, you can get oversaturated and then you completely lose I had a friend who was using the analogy of like these tricks and these pieces are like Pokemon kind of, or like a card game where, you know, if you're carrying more than 6 on your person at a time, then none of them will work. They all kind of lose their ability.
Oh yeah.
It's an interesting thing. It's like a thought exercise. Not on the actual number of them, but just the fact that like these guys roll up with like a fucking safari vest full of shit and they can't throw down. They can't do anything.
Yeah.
The guys who have a mastery of 2 or 3 things, like Eugene or Tyler, I could name 100. Like Del Rey did like 10 core tricks, 8 or 10 core tricks in his close-up set. I think he was one of the greatest close-up magicians who ever lived. But it's like these guys that have focused in on the things that are important instead of just buying secrets and feeling like, because I think everybody does that when you get into magic and maybe even new hobbies. I've thought about that. I've talked about this a little bit with people trying to understand it. Like I think if you get into rubber stamps or whatever, like you're gonna buy everything. Oh, I like rubber stamps. You go to the bookstore and you buy 6 books about rubber stamps. Then you buy a bunch of rubber stamps. You buy, oh, but I didn't know this brand was kind of shitty, so I bought a bunch of those. They don't really last. But then I find out what the good ones are, and I do this. And you have this oversaturation period in any discipline, and then you whittle it down to the things that are important. But it's important to do that.
You also probably, like when it comes to magic and performance or whatever, I think you're searching for what feels like your authentic self or whatever. Totally. You don't know, and the longer you've been doing stuff, the less you are pulled towards those things. It's like, there was a time when I also bought gimmicked cards, and as a result, I have like, because this is sweet, and I have a deck of cards that can do this or that. But then after a while, I go, this is really cool, but I should not equate that with I need to get that thing.
Yeah.
Because I don't really do card tricks.
Totally.
So I have like 2 or 3 kind of things that I do if the rare occasions when people go, you do some magic, and I have a couple of things that I do. But not so much, and that's important too. So that this is all coming around now, maybe, because the secrets are available, and this is a peculiar thing about magic. You go and you buy yourself a secret, because some of these things you buy a gimmick that can allow you to, like a tool, like you're talking about. You're making a tool, and now I have no skills, but say I take the coin, I place it into the hand, now that coin is completely gone. But you have actually no skill. You've used a tool, and some tools, when you use them in magic, are so easy to use that if you just do that, and people will still see an element of magic in it.
Totally. One thing that I think is important to keep in mind is, and I don't think this is, but it does exist in other disciplines, but it's probably more rare in like circus or variety or other kinds of show things, especially juggling. Well, no, juggling, I think there is a huge element to this, but the hobby element, like there's people that they've learned some magic tricks when they were a kid, they went to a magic shop, and now they're 70 and they go to magic lectures and they like learning about what's out there, and they like seeing
oh, here's the guy that I saw that did this show, and I want to learn a couple tricks and buy his book and hang out. And so there's totally just a social element to those secrets, and a fun, like, people like getting a toy and they put it together like Legos and they learn the secret and they futz with the thing, and maybe they know they're never going to do a show. So to me, and Eugene summing that up with the, there are many rooms in the House of Magic analogy, which I think is totally
wonderful. Yes,
like that to me is so. I needed to hear that, and I heard it at the right time, because I think I was getting down on that part of it. I go, these guys are never gonna. They all just buy shit, and I have an act. I have 10 minutes. It's all mine, and I have this and this and that. But you look at it and you go, there's guys that like. They got a thing in a cereal box when they were 4, and that sparked this lifelong interest where that's the thing. When they go home, they go to their magic room, and they
sit
read
and they
books.
read and they look at a DVD and they study it and have the knowledge, but are not practicing magicians. But in some ways too, like, as much as we would think that the only people who got the few thousand copies of your book were all working folk, but
I
the
probably
reality
wouldn't be working if that was true.
No, but it's like because so many of those would get it, read it, enjoy your essays, and enjoy the way that the tricks are, but would never actually consider
Tons of
making it and doing it, and that's why, like, where you realize that aspect of it is also keeping this sharing of secrets alive. The fact that there are so many, I mean, it's a lot of guys, but but maybe a rising number of girls.
Absolutely.
And in
more and more
not
every
just
year.
guys, but that in old men. So when I went to magic conventions when I was a child, it was like these men that was there, that was like, some of them my dad's age, but a lot of them were older than my dad, because now this was like, what was I trying to nail down when I met Mac at this convention? But it might have been in 1989, but I must have been like 13 or 14 years old or whatever, and I got his
the book or the
autograph in a thing. But and then there was just these old men, and I'm like, by all definitions, a child.
Same. I mean, they were. I think it is a lot of people coming back to it. That's the thing. When I talk to these guys at clubs now, especially, it's guys that wanted to do it, and then they got a corporate job because that's the way that life works. And then they come back and they fucking love being able to do like 6 things socially at a picnic every year. And then they go and they take their year and they learn some new stuff and they read 100 books. And some people are historians. I mean, I work with that auction house. A lot of people just are knowledge,
Yeah, Mike Cavaney is
of course.
huge.
Well, but Mike is an act too.
Yeah.
So it's hard to kind of.
But I was just because when you said the many rooms of magic, I'm like, there are people who are in it for the secrets, and then there are people in it who are in it for the history, who just read about the history. But then there's people like him who restore and research and remake the $1 Million Mystery or whatever, and then puts on conferences about it, which is why I brought that out. Because of course I had the pleasure of reading his book as well, or 1 volume of that book, and it's extraordinary act, necktie and with the chicken, and it's like. It's so amazing,
and that is also
that it has that room that not because we talked about, that was just us personally talking about the 4,000 years of juggling or whatever.
Yeah.
But because there's this one juggling historian practically, but in magic there is not just one. There's lots of people who are writing about different aspects of it or whatever.
I was thinking about that too. On a deeper level, because it was so interesting to me. Because in magic, it feels like there's this crazy, deep, rich history of like, you could go in a million directions, right? You could go and just research comedy magic from the 40s on, or whatever. You could just research stuff that dabbles in the occult, or just research this, or just research that. And in juggling, I feel like there has to be that same level of stuff. It just, I don't understand.
I have been wondering about that too. I think this is, when I talked to Jay, one of the things that we pursued a lot here, and the people who listen have heard me talk about this difference between abstract and concrete or whatever performances, and a lot of that I'm starting to think now that it has to do with the fact that I grew up within magic, and I grew up within doing magic with my dad, where we are always in a situation where I did family shows at wherever would have us. There was no magic club. There was one other dude in that town which we sometimes met with that did some shows sometimes, and then there was 2 hours away, including a ferry ride, to get to what was the Magic Circle, where my dad was a member, and I got to come. And I became a member of the Magic Junior Circle without really doing anything. They just came and saw this magic weekend that we put on in the theater, and we had 4 or 5 magicians and some people from the Magic Circle in another town 4 hours away, which was the closest junior circle, saw me perform and then made me a member because I was already in. Anyway, what was I going to say about that? I'd lost my thread now.
Concrete and abstract.
Concrete and abstract. So I was always in a situation where I couldn't show up and do 5 minutes of manipulation, which you could only be seen from the front. And you needed to talk. Like my dad, there was no question that when I was going to do my act, which I couldn't be in the show, and that until I could do an act. And when you did that, you had to talk. You couldn't just go out. I did a sort of torn and restored piece of paper with Chinese writing on it.
Yeah, of course.
Which is just perfect for a 10, 11-year-old boy.
Well, you know the whole laundry ticket story, so...
it's like, So anyway, that's all. But I had to say something. Even if it's just like the absolute level 0 or level 1 of going, here I have this magic scroll from ancient Chinese writing or whatever, and then secrets are so hidden, you need to rip them up, and now, but then sometimes you might forget the secrets, and then you can use the stuff you've learned in the secrets to make it all come back again. Here it is.
Which that's better than most 12-year-olds. I think at least you got an actual...
Well, I'm sure Dad helped me or whatever, and it was based on what was printed in the Xeroxed copy of the thing. I can't remember.
Ancient
maybe that wasn't what I said, but that has been what it is over time. Maybe I just go, here I have a piece of paper, now I'm ripping it some more, and now it's back together. Maybe that's what I said. But that means that when I'm talking about abstract and concrete, it's that thing. Maybe it is that I am so used to there being some sort of story in it, from A to B. And that bit is relatively easy to capture in writing by lay people, say a journalist who writes a bit about stuff, but you can remember that story or whatever. But whilst if somebody comes on and does a sequence of moves and shapes on a hoop suspended from the roof, then we're in sort of modern dance territory. What are you going to say? First the young man, he was very flexible, and he had his leg in this direction, and then he held onto the hoop, and then he spun around and hung on this other leg. So because it is so abstract, you don't have a language and you don't know what to do. You can just say, it made me feel this way. And I think with the juggling as well, there's things that are like possibly the entry-level things. So he juggled and he threw under his leg, or he juggled knives. That those things are easy to sort of understand and write about.
He did a whole bunch.
But the intricacies of it is difficult to capture. And maybe because magic often has this story element to it, like a huge part of it at least has. And of the magician that you're most likely to see that in everyday life, not when you go to Vegas and see those shows or whatever, or you see because those are the very few. If it's not the cream
like
of the
a
cream,
show,
it's a production show. Or even like I would have seen Penn and Teller, or you've seen the reason why they have been there for 20 years of Mac King, who has been doing this show for so long. It's because it's an unbelievably well-crafted show that you go in there and it continues to be exciting after 20 years of it. It's the material in it is timeless. He's not, we talked about this yesterday briefly, but like he's not doing the latest, coolest trick, and it's hip because it uses Christina Aguilera's song and it ties in with this trick, which...
What's up, fellow teenager?
Exactly.
Who's got an iPhone 15?
So... maybe there's something in there with that level of like why is history of these things. So that's one aspect, and the other aspect of it, I think, has to do with secrets.
Yeah.
Because knowing that if you're interested in magic and knowing how somebody did it, and having done conversations with him or talked to other people about him, how he, what was it, Harbinger that did the box first? No, what's his name that made ended cutting and. Zigzag. Yeah. Yep. So. Like to know those things and then to write the history of something which becomes an illusion, which now is not quite, but it's almost like the rabbit out of the hat. Absolutely. Which is just like you look at that thing and you go, this is a magician. It's got a box like that and it can cut the assistant into pieces or whatever.
And I guess there is the element of like with juggling or with aerial or whatever, what is being displayed is what is being understood.
True.
So
great point.
So there is like, but so just to circle back to like first encounters with secrets, Terry, and I think this is what set me on what I guess I consider the right path for me, but he wouldn't just let me have stuff. So I would go, I want to learn about this card marking thing. Like I think that would benefit me in this way, and it would be bullshit, right? It's like you don't need this thing. You could probably do it with sleight of hand, or you don't, like you have a skill set. Like you don't need extra shit, and you don't need to learn about this old school thing just because it's secretive. But obviously, it's very appealing because it's not accessible to everybody. Which I think is like the teenage brain version of magic. I think that's why a lot of guys get into it. Is not guys, but people get into it. Is because like. You know, when you're 13 or 14, it's like, I have unlocked the secrets of the universe. It's the same occult shit. It's like, I understand why the people act this way and why they do this and why we do that. But having accessibility to something that isn't easily accessible to other kids that are 13 and 14, that, you know, they might have a leg up on you in football and in school. But like Derek Hughes has one of the best jokes in his act where he's like, how do you get into magic? Be the last one around the track during gym. Last one around the track, first one, or suck at, how do you get good at magic? Suck at sports. You know, last one around the track in gym class, first one with a magic kid. So that's great.
Because it's also like, and why did you continue to do it? Because not only do I suck at sport, I also suck at parties.
100%.
So I'm there, and then the leap is short, even if it is a false step into going like, what I need to get the attraction of people, to get the attention of people is just like, I need to whip out this stick and flip it and going, there's one spot on one side, but when I'm flipping it now
they will fucking love this.
Then they're gonna love me.
Sorry, they won't love this, they'll love me.
They'll love me. And then as it turns out, somebody just grabs that stick and punches you in the neck.
Totally. Well, it's, to me, there's a funny thing about close-up magic where, and like the pitch that I've used in the last couple of years that I think I developed with Tyler to some degree, is the idea of being, usually with strolling magic and close-up magic, which I haven't done in a million years. Like I used to do a pre-show before a comedy club when I was a teenager at the Mall of America. And then as I started doing comedy and doing shows, I just kind of, it fell out of my rotation or whatever. I've always fiddled with it. I love sleight of hand, and I still train and futz with stuff, but as you've seen all the time. But it's like I wanted to kind of find a way to get back into doing it, and the idea of going up and like bothering a table full of people at a corporate thing was so fucking unnerving to me. Like, hello, I know that you're eating and trying to kiss your boss's ass to maybe get a promotion, but could I fuck up your night and show you a few things that I've worked on alone? In isolation that you might
have you ever considered the mysteries of one of these peculiar Chinese cones with a hole in it and this ribbon?
I'd like to mystify you. Well, so I used to do that trick. They call it like the Troy Hoosier, the Charming Chinese Challenge. There's three Chinese coins on a ribbon, and they penetrate off and on.
It's a bit like the ring on a string kind of thing. And what's it?
Yeah.
I learned some of those from, what's it called? Diamond Taylor, Jim.
Oh, Diamond Jim Tyler, yeah.
So anyway, I saw him at a convention one time, and I learned a bunch of those moves and was doing it for a while with the...
Yeah.
But those, they go back a long
way
time.
old, yeah. But so I learned the routine with the three coins, Chinese coins, and this is how they put the three coins on a ribbon because they have a hole in the coins, and this is how they carry it. This is like a wallet in China. And
I never got one, but I used to want those Chinese coins.
Oh, yeah.
I just thought that was the sweetest thing.
Wow. What's it like being rich? You can afford Chinese money.
Yeah, but now I actually
Chinese
have
money.
Now I have money now, so I can buy it. But now some of that desire has subsided.
People couldn't pay you to carry those fake Chinese coins around.
Yeah,
that's the best part. Is it's like we have a Japanese woman who's great who works at Potter and Potter, and she will like look at some of these awful old magic props and go, did you know that that's the Kikkoman soy sauce logo on the side of that box? Or that says like doorway on that panel?
Yeah, because it's been, the letters has been chosen exclusively for their aesthetic value.
Yeah, and their mysterious values that they...
It's because in the end of the 1800s, the East was like where it was at when it came to mystery.
Oh, can't beat it. In fact, so many white guys pretended to be Asian.
Yeah.
Just to...
Yeah, so much so that...
break into that market.
Tarbell, one of the great collections of stuff about magic. It's like, what is it, 7 books or 8 books or something?
Technically 8. I think the original Tarbell course that he was like involved in is the 6. Maybe he was alive.
And then addendums and stuff found in his archives and stuff added to it. But there is, at least in one of the books, there is a section on Oriental magic.
Oh yeah, there's multiple. And there's tons of books on it. It's wild, and it's an interesting part of history, especially like Okito, like this Dutch family that
Bamberg, is that his name?
Yeah. Theo Bamberg and
Theo Bamberg, yeah.
And his son became Fu Manchu, who also notable
famous white people who became Asian, or had the character that was Asian. And at the time, we can think what we want about it now, and it might just go, oh, that was totally insensitive and or whatever. But it's like it wasn't off limit at that time.
No, of course.
It was.
I think we did.
But they kept secrets as well. Like none of them went out and then. Yeah. Like finish off and he just wipe. Oh, I don't know if he put any yellow on his face.
Fu Manchu is kind of the classic, or not? Sorry, not Fu Manchu. Chung Ling Soo.
Chung Ling Soo.
That's the classic. Like, if you guys are looking for a book to read, the Jim Steinmeier book about Chung Ling Soo is one of the great magic biographies. Unreal
because it has so much to it, the magic and him with his producing the goldfish bowl out of nowhere and all of the things that it almost is in the territory of in like the what's it called, the movie again, The Prestige of like where people are holding these secrets almost to the detriment of them, so that
literally
the style that you walk or the style that you behave to be this character, it's taken over your whole life, so you've sort of transformed from whatever you were before into a Chinese
it's unbelievable mystic. Well, that one, and this is no spoiler, like he did the bullet catch famously, but he lived his life publicly as an Asian man.
Yeah.
So, like, he is doing the bullet catch on stage, an accident happens and he gets shot. They bring him to the hospital. They bring him into the operating room. They're trying to save him, all this stuff. They wipe off, clean his face off, take his makeup off. They take the tape off behind his wig, and they take all this stuff. And the doctors came in and they go, where, and word had spread, the great Chung Ling Soo is in the hospital, he's been shot, and the doctors go in the room and they go, who the fuck is this white guy? So he literally, up to his death, and died of it, but up to his death was
Yeah.
a fake Asian man. But
Yeah.
but back to secrets.
But in that too, like
It
for
is
being
keeping
right
secrets.
and or wrong or whatever, like
Yeah.
he in every way of his life then identified as this person. Was like, you can say he was living a life, but he had done a pretty
Yeah.
like on every level, to the fact that you end up in the hospital and people don't
Pretty
know what's
impressive.
going on. That you have transformed yourself into another
Yeah.
person of another race, and you live and you behave and you dress and you go and
Yeah.
in private and in
I mean, I was thinking about that with, are there any other parallels? And in my head, and I know this isn't like a direct line, but I think guys like Liberace in their time, where it's like, oh, he's just a nice boy who hasn't met the right woman, even though he's wearing short shorts and equestrian boots and is dancing around with a baton or whatever.
and
it's
having
like
a whole piano made out of diamonds.
Yeah.
and
he's just,
and he's got his
bold.
friend George,
Yeah.
who's always with him, and Siegfried and Roy, there's two good looking guys
Couple
just
of buds.
having a great
Yeah.
time with their magic.
But I don't know. So there's all those weird elements to secret keeping. I think just to circle back, because it is
Yeah.
important and I keep glazing over it, but Terry would I would learn about something, and then he would go, hey, why don't you go back to the cities? When you go back, make a bunch of these, learn how they work, find flaws, improve it, whatever, right? And so I'd learn some secret. I go down and I mark cards this way, and I learn how to do the finish and do this thing, and I'd find a new chemical. Because at the time, some of his things were not outdated at all, but like the materials were improving, and cameras had really changed a lot. So he would teach me this thing with an old hardwired camera, and then I would go learn about cell phone cameras, and I'd come back a couple months later and say, hey, look what I did. I built your big, 90s hardwired camera thing that was in a big wood box into a cell phone, and I learned how to rewire this thing. And so he would see that I was dedicated to it, and then you would kind of not earn, but you would earn the next step through doing that. And so we did that for years. I think it was super important to me to have that, and Tyler totally would do that with me. That fucking guy, he'd show me a card trick, blow my brain out. I go, you're in that I know everything phase of magic. Kind of like you're a few years in, so you're 3 years into something, fucking everything.
Dunning-Kruger effect is peaking out.
Boom, yeah, exactly. I'm at the peak. And he shows me something, fools me badly, upsettingly badly, with a card trick. So I feel that feeling again that you first have.
Yeah, it's like you've reached one level, you think you know everything, and then somebody opens something and you go, wow, I just got a glimpse of another aspect of the mystery. It is This is much bigger than I thought.
Another universe opens up. And
That's
then the
awesome.
important part and the main part about that, and I try to do this I am a counselor at Tannen's camp every year, which is like a bunch of acts volunteer to this kids, there's 100, 200 kids that have a deep interest in magic, and they come out to the college every summer, and we do a week of non-stop training at different skill sets, and they do shows and contests, and like Mario does it, and all these different Derek Hughes, and it's really intense, and it was something that I really wanted to do as a kid and never got to, so now it's cool to be able to go back and do it. But I do the same shit that Tyler did to me, where you really, if you nail a trick with someone that they just don't understand, and they don't, I know it sounds cheesy, but you really fool the shit out of somebody who has an interest in secrets and in magic, not immediately going, well, you're in the club, here's how that works, or pulling the veil off and immediately giving them a secret. Tyler would make me think about it, really obsessively think about these things. I go home and I go, well, it could have been a trick card, or it could have been this, I guess you could have known where, but it was his deck, and I don't really know how, but and he had this, and then he did it again in the piano store with the borrowed deck, and I just
so now I know it isn't. It's somehow it's got to be with technical. It's a skill that has to do with Not with the special card, yeah, not with the marking, yeah.
But then it's like, is he fucking with me on another level?
Because is he using the same effect but two different methods?
Of course.
So at that point you just go, ooh, I just, like, yeah.
And so then it was, you know, and he would even do shit, like there's a very specific example in my head where he fooled me badly, didn't give me any info for months, and I would ask him, hey, like, but does that, you know, like if the deck had a board, or could you still do it? And he goes, I think so. And, you know, like giving little pieces of information. And he goes, I think it's in this book. He gave it's like a Walter Gibson book, big book on card magic, thick book. I didn't own it, but he was like, I think it's G, you know, you can find it, and it's around. And I bought this book for $8 online, and I wait, and I get this old book that is out of print, and I read through the whole thing, and I go, this trick's not fucking in it. Like, you know, I go, what did he sent me on this whole blood path for this secret, and I'd have no idea. And it's funny that our brain, you know, will go that far for understanding how somebody knew what cards were where, or whatever, how a card... So it's funny, but in that, you know, I hadn't felt that feeling in a while, so I dig and I dig and I dig, and I realize, like, oh, it's 1,000% something that is very accessible and very much within my knowledge base. I had just repressed it and thought, oh, he would never do that to me, and it would never, you know, I wouldn't be fooled by something like that. So you end up, like, tripling back on yourself. But the idea that he took the time to send me on that path, I do that all the time at that camp.
That's great.
These kids they just go like, oh, well, you know, he did this thing and that's similar to this and he bought it in that book and then this and that. You fool them with 10% of it and they will go and learn so much more than just giving them material and overcrowding their thought process.
To give things where, which is like, again, so go back onto the different aspects of ways of learning, because you can say to the kid, start and say, okay, well, no, here, you show the trick, then they go, wow, how do you do that? Let me show you. Hold the card, hold the deck like this,
which
do
that
this.
is part of it too, right?
Yeah, but so that's one aspect.
Yeah.
Then another way would be to go, oh, it's in this book, which is out of print.
Yeah.
And then that kid goes away, maybe gets that book, and that kid that goes and gets that book, they're the ones who you know that when you're performing in a cabaret somewhere or whatever, that kid is one day going to be on the bill with 100%. You. 100%. Because those ones who go out and do that, they then have to live themselves into the material and into the thing. And that book that you read, when you read it and you were looking for a specific secret or whatever, and you read it with that in mind, you're pulling out stuff and it's shaping you so that you take that into the next thing that you do. So that's like 100%. Another way of doing it. And then it's now where you then, when you get it in a book, you learn thing in a certain way. Yeah. One, which you have much more experience of me, is that you don't write out necessarily your entire script just as it is. Because you don't want to share all your jokes and everything, and you want them to put themselves into it as well. So that's one thing. And now, but a lot of people are watching stuff. Yeah, of course. And you have it on DVD, because when I was a kid, the things that were available of magic stuff was most of the time it was taped lectures in the beginning. People who were doing a magic lecture, and it's incomplete. It's not made as a thing for video. And then it started to become great. The Magic Video Library and all those things were coming out in the 80s, and there was probably
products
magic
with
before
the
that.
intent of teaching.
A magician. But what happens then is that I heard the jokes that Paul Harris did. When he did the tap dancing aces, and I loved that routine, but there was nothing about that a 14-year-old or 15, whatever old I was,
especially Paul stuff.
It's so odd, and it's little wordplays and quips and things, and it's droll, and it's like, and it was not me at all, but to me, and then I had to translate it into Norwegian, and you're sort of going like, and I don't have that same technical skill, but pretty strange stuff, I would say.
Big time. Well, and I think part of it for me is because I've gotten shit from people before for being down to like, oh, you're writing a book. Well, you're in it to sell secrets, or you're selling tricks, or you're selling whatever. To me, like you saw me do that pins thing yesterday. I've been doing that trick on and off since I saw Dan Garrett do it in a lecture when I was like 9. And that stuck with me, and I went, that's a thing that it fooled me, and I felt a certain way, and then I learned about it, and then I kind of moved away from it, and then I came back around. But it made me think about things in a different way. It seeing him do things. I saw so many people lecture when I was a kid, and you know what? They sell shit sometimes to pay rent, and like I've totally been guilty of that when I was 17 or younger than that, and I sold this bill switch trick. Like, it was 100%, I was in it to make a profit. And you have things like that to help you along the path of hopefully someday doing your act. But then, now when I come back around to it, the whole talk and the whole exercise and the whole asking questions and the whole movement of trying to do it is hopefully based around people not taking what I'm doing and then just doing exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And then there's also an element of like those guys that just are into stuff for the hobby element. They keep magic alive, really.
Yeah.
Like they keep the brick and mortar magic shops and those meetings and those conventions. That's 95% of it. It's not acts going.
No, because that's totally true. Like, the ones who are using that's using the magic clubs, and the ones who are going there are the amateurs in the best way.
Of course.
In amateur, as in the ones who like have their heart in it. Isn't that what the amateur comes from? It's like the people who are doing it for the love of it or whatever. Well, no, easy way is they're doing it for the love of it and not for the money, because they're making their money from being selling house paints or being a dentist or whatever. That's their thing. But when they go home, they go to their magic room and they sit and they look in their books and they love all of this stuff, and then they go and talk to other people about it. But they love magic, and you can do it in the comfort of doing magic with other people who knows the secret, so you don't have to worry so much about the presentation, because you're basically showing them a display of skill. Which
or like I mean, and the thing is, seeing those guys at magic clubs like influence my taste totally too, right? Because you go in and you go, I someday want to do 15 minutes in a show somewhere, or do an hour somewhere. I want to do what Mac's doing, or do what Tom Mullock is doing. And you go, okay. You go to a magic club and you watch 40 guys in their 70s and 80s do, like, this is a great story. First time I went to a magic club, the like local IBM ring had to vote me in because I was a kid. So it was like, oh, is he allowed to come to the meeting? With his dad's permission, he can come to the meeting or whatever. So the first time I went, my dad went along, and it was 7:00, and you're in the upper room of this little magic store downtown St. Paul, and there's tuxedos hanging really close to your head. Like, you had to bend down if you were in the back row of chairs because there's so many rental suits on the ceiling. And this guy, old guy, brought a rabbit. And he gets up in front of the room. They go, okay, Don, it's your turn. And he gets up in front of the room and he goes, here's this rabbit. And he just wanted to show us that he owned a rabbit, show off the rabbit. And people go, oh, you could put it in a hat. You could put it in a bucket. You could produce it from this thing, or you could use it for that. And he goes, yeah. He shows his rabbit. That was it.
And oh, wow.
Then he went to the back of the room. Or actually, he was in the process of like moving the rabbit around or whatever. The dude just like pissed his pants. And so my dad like leans over to me and he goes, this is what you wanna come to this? You really wanna like...
An 80-year-old man comes to the front of the room, shows his rabbit, then has a little incontinence situation.
And then leaves. And then it was like... And then we saw some great stuff. Tyler did some stuff, and Jeff Williams, and Jerry Johnson was a huge influence on me when I was that age, and very funny.
But that is also then that is a community
No shit.
of like where it's like, oh, he's so old, but like back in the day, he went and did that competition in Prague.
Maybe
he
that
was
guy
there
never
at
did
the
that, but
yeah, maybe not that guy, but it's like some people are just.
Yeah.
But anyway, we I see that what we have gotten to now we've just talked about secrets.
Yeah.
And we should just record another one because now we've got to go. But we should, because it's already 3:00.
Okay. Yeah. Let's.
So we can then talk specifically about your lecture, because I'd like those different aspects of it and what that. Because now we're going into the territory of copying and stuff as well,
Totally.
of doing stuff.
where
the way
the
it's,
ethics lie.
Yeah, ethics and all that. But then also like the differences of what you learn and can copy from when you have seen a lecture one time.
Yeah.
Because then you go home with a few notes or with your lecture notes or whatever. But if you just come home just with your notes, you've just taken this image and you have a secret and a few ideas, but you can't remember everything. And in a lecture, you rarely go through and do a written script anyway, like presenting the script of it or whatever. But then when you get a video or whatever, now you have been teaching for a video, but you haven't made a video. So maybe we'll do that in the next round of the conversation.
Please, yeah, I'd love to talk about like the why I would share secrets and why
you would share secrets,
that.
exactly. And also I'd like to talk to you just then about the writing of the book, which is then how to choose what to put in and what not to put in for exactly these reasons, for the fact that you then have it verbatim. And some people do that. They buy the book or they buy the trick and it comes with a little piece of Xerox paper and it says on there what you're going to say. And then they say that.
It's a choice, and the choice to do or not do that.
Yeah.
Which I think is a huge part of it. But, thank you for having me again.
Thank you for having me here. This is kind of your house, I guess.
It's such a great thing to listen through this again. I miss hanging out with this guy. Looking forward to the next chapters. And until next time, it would be awesome if you followed me on Instagram, The Way of the Showman at Instagram. I do post things there irregularly. I want to be really good at social media, but I'm trying to avoid doom scrolling, and I've got so many other things going on. Did some excellent writing today on the final chapters of the showmanship and play. And I'm about imagination and everything, so I feel pretty good about myself, and I hope you are feeling really good about yourself too. So until next time, take care of yourself and those you love, and I hope to see you along the way.